Imagine being enveloped in a digital fantasy so captivating that the lines between the virtual and real blur. Picture a world where dragons soar, knights roam, and you can be the hero of your own tale. Now visualize this enchanting realm becoming your prison, where every battle risks your very life. Welcome to the world of Sword Art Online. It is 2022, a year where humanity has mastered virtual reality MMORPGs, epitomized by the release of Sword Art Online, SAO. Young Kirito, savvy from his experience as a beta tester, dives back into this high fantasy universe via his Nerve Gear helmet the moment the game launches. With ease, he navigates through the Town of Beginnings, the central hub of SAO's first floor. Here he encounters Klein, a newcomer who's utterly lost. Recognizing Kirito's expertise, Klein requests a tutorial on game mechanics. Wasting no time, Kirito leads Klein to the outskirts of town to battle a frenzy boar. It's a low-level enemy, but the stakes rise as they discover the absence of a logout option, effectively trapping them inside the game. Before they can digest the enormity of this realization, all 10,000 players are teleported back to the town center. A giant robed figure appears in the sky, introducing himself as Akihiko Kayaba, the game's creator. In a chilling monologue, he confirms everyone's worst fears. The missing logout button is intentional, and anyone who dies in the game dies in reality. The news sends shockwaves through the community. Akihiko adds that removing the Nerve Gear helmet in the real world will also result in instant death. He informs them that the only escape is to clear all 100 floors of the game, each guarded by formidable bosses. He leaves them with a gift, a mirror that transforms their avatars to resemble their real selves, revealing more about the players than some would have preferred. Klein opts to stay behind to help his friends, parting ways with Kirito, who decides to move on, vowing to beat the game and escape this virtual prison. A month into this perilous journey, we learn that 2,000 players have already met their demise, and the first floor remains uncleared. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. Which anime is the best isekai? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out in a future video. A self-proclaimed knight, Diavel, convenes a meeting in the town of Tolbana. He announces that his party has discovered the boss room at the top of the labyrinth and proposes to form a raid group to defeat it. Kirito, a solo player and former beta tester, finds himself in a moment of panic as players form parties. He eventually forms a party with a hooded girl named Asuna. After the formation of parties, a player named Kibao interrupts the meeting to accuse beta testers of withholding information and exploiting the best resources. Kibao argues that beta testers should give up their items and money to atone for their supposed advantage. Another player, Agil, intervenes, saying that beta testers had contributed by sharing a manual of game knowledge and that every player had access to this information. The group prepares for the raid the next day, based on the information in the manual, which details that the boss is Ilfang the Kobold Lord and would change its combat style on its last HP bar. During the battle, Diavel deviates from the plan and goes for the last hit on the boss, but realizes too late that the boss has a different weapon than anticipated. Diavel is killed, revealing that he was also a beta tester. Kirito and Asuna take over, fighting with their initial strategies and eventually defeating the boss. Kirito is given the last attack bonus item, the Coat of Midnight. The celebration is short-lived as Kibao accuses Kirito of letting Diavel die by withholding information about the boss's real weapon. Kirito takes on the hatred and accepts the derogatory term beta, a mix of beta tester and cheater, to protect the other beta testers. He advises Asuna to find a trustworthy guild and leaves for the second floor alone. The story is now set on April 8, 2023, on the 11th floor main town of Taft. Kirito saves members of the Moonlit Black Cats Guild and is invited to join them temporarily. Kirito accepts the invitation but hides his true level from the guild members. He helps with the stat development of a player named Sachi, who is revealed to be deeply afraid of dying. Despite her fears, Sachi becomes close to Kirito and he reassures her that he will protect her. However, tragedy strikes when the guild, minus their leader Keita, decides to go on a dangerous mission to a labyrinth on the 27th floor. They find a treasure chest in a hidden room, but triggering it results in a swarm of monsters attacking them. Teleport crystals fail, and Kirito is unable to save his comrades, including Sachi, who all die. Months later, Kirito learns about a revival item that the Christmas event boss holds. He fights the boss, Nicholas the Renegade, alone, only to find that the revival item can revive a player within 10 seconds of their death, making it useless for bringing back Sachi. He receives a posthumous message from her, which provides some emotional closure. Sachi's message assures him that her death was not his fault, and thanks him for the time they spent together. The episode ends with Kirito, emotionally burdened yet resolved, acknowledging Sachi's last words. Before we continue, let's take a moment to shout out Monsters G1805 who commented on our Valkyrie Drive video. Favourite villain are many, but some I remember is Johan, Griffith, L, Kira. Very interesting. Silica, a beast tamer, leaves her party after a falling out with one of its members, Rosalia. She ventures through the forest of wandering alone, but becomes overwhelmed by monsters. Just as she is on the verge of death, her pet dragon Pina sacrifices itself to save her, and she is subsequently rescued by Kirito. Kirito offers to help her revive Pina through the use of a special flower found on the 47th floor. Even though the task is risky and time-sensitive, Silica is reassured by Kirito's help, and they set out together. Kirito even equips Silica with better gear to improve her chances of survival. During their time together, Silica finds out Kirito helps her because she reminds him of his sister, which makes her laugh. Back in the 35th floor's main town, Miche, they plan the details for their quest. Kirito explains the concept of player killing and color cursors to Silica. Orange cursors indicate players who have attacked or killed someone, while green cursors signal non-hostile players. After this informative session, they notice someone eavesdropping on them, but fail to catch the perpetrator. The next day, the pair reach the 47th floor and successfully acquire the Pneuma flower required for Pina's resurrection. However, they walk into an ambush led by Rosalia, who is revealed to be the leader of a player-killing guild named Titan's Hand. Kirito defeats the ambushers and sends them to jail using a corridor crystal, revealing that he had initially used Silica as bait to capture this dangerous group. Finally, Silica revives Pina, and the two part ways, as Kirito must return to the front lines. On the 56th floor's main town, Pani, the clearers are trying to strategize for an upcoming battle with the field boss, Geocrawler. Asuna and Kirito clash over the ethical implications of involving NPCs in their battle strategy. While Asuna sees them as mere objects, Kirito argues for their inherent value. After this tense meeting, Asuna finds Kirito enjoying some leisure time in a field, away from the front lines. Annoyed, she ends up joining him and unexpectedly finds peace, falling asleep beside him. They're interrupted by a scream, which leads them to a murder scene that shouldn't be possible within the safe area. A player has been killed in a way that bypasses the game's safety mechanisms. Together with a witness, Yoko, they start investigating the murder. The weapon, called Guilty Thorn, was made by Grimlock, a former member of a now-defunct guild named Golden Apple. Yoko, Keynes, and Grimlock were all part of this guild, and Yoko suspects that Grimlock could be avenging the death of their leader, Griselda. She believes that Griselda's ghost is enacting revenge on those who wanted to sell a rare ring that the guild had acquired. This theory seems to gain ground when Yoko is also murdered in a way that defies the game's safety protocols. Kirito and Asuna are now puzzled and alarmed. They are now faced with a murder mystery that challenges the very rules of the game world they thought they understood. This adds another layer of urgency and danger to their mission to clear the game, as it becomes clear that not all threats in Sword Art Online are as straightforward as monsters and traps. Kirito chases down a hooded figure he believes to be the murderer. The anti-criminal code effect area mechanism that prevents Kirito from hurting the hooded figure, Kirito, the logical gamer, dismisses the possibility of supernatural interference and focuses on a more practical explanation. Asuna, on the other hand, becomes increasingly convinced that they are dealing with Griselda's vengeful ghost, demonstrating her emotional investment in the narrative. The episode takes a peculiar yet crucial turn when a sandwich shatters into fragments, serving as a critical clue for Kirito. The seemingly trivial act of a sandwich losing its durability serves as an epiphany for Kirito, unveiling the truth about the nature of the murders in the safe zone. Schmidt's visit to Griselda's grave adds another layer of emotional intensity. His genuine remorse, juxtaposed with his relief at finding a rabbit instead of a ghost, momentarily evokes sympathy. However, the reveal of Yoko and Kane's being alive is both a shock and a validation of Kirito's logical approach to the in-game universe's rules. Kirito's timely arrival adds another feather to his hero's cap, but raises questions about his intuition and understanding of human nature. Finally, the ghostly appearance of Yuko encapsulates the episode's themes beautifully, suggesting that while technology may blur the lines between reality and virtuality, the complexities of human emotions and ethics remain as tangible as ever. Overall, this episode is a brilliant exposition of how a virtual world can serve as a stage for very real human dramas, exploring the intricacies of love, betrayal, and morality. In a picturesque town on the 48th floor of Aincrad Lindarth, Lisbeth the blacksmith was giving the finishing touches to Asuna's rapier, the lambent light. Her small shop was modest but cosy, filled with the humming sounds of molten metal and the smell of iron and steel. As she passed the sharpened blade to Asuna, Lisbeth couldn't help but inquire about her absence from the front lines. "I took the day off, got someone to meet," Lisbeth teases her, catching sight of Asuna's newly acquired earrings. Asuna, however, is oblivious to the implications, and hastily exits the shop as her in-game alarm chimes in. Alone in her shop, Lisbeth ponders if she'll ever find someone special. The following day, the chiming of her shop's entrance bell brings her back to reality. The customer is a seemingly ordinary player named Kirito. Despite his nondescript appearance, he insists on a high-quality custom sword. Skeptical but intrigued, Lisbeth presents him with the best sword she has ever forged. To her horror, Kirito tests it against his own weapon, Elucidator, and it shatters. Enraged, Lisbeth claims she can forge a weapon to surpass his, setting them off on a perilous quest to obtain rare materials from a crystal-eating dragon on the 55th floor. Clad in coats, the duo traverse the West Mountain's icy terrains. Lisbeth, previously enchanted by the stunning crystal formations, is soon ordered to hide as they encounter the dragon, Egerfon the White Worm. With her heart in her throat, she watches from her crystal shelter as Kirito engages in a fierce battle, narrowly saving her life when she leaves her cover prematurely. Their fight is cut short when they plummet into a deep pit, which negates their teleport crystals. Facing the reality of their entrapment, they prepare to spend the night in the abyss, comforted only by the warmth of each other's hands. Morning light reveals the sought-after material, crystallite ingot, amid the dragon's droppings. When they notice the dragon returning to its nest, Kirito formulates a daring escape plan, clinging to the dragon as it takes off and stabbing it to force a hasty departure from its lair. While airborne, Lisbeth confesses her affection for Kirito, though her words are swallowed by the roaring wind. Back in the shop, Lisbeth molds the crystallite ingot into a magnificent blade, Dark Repulsor. Just as she prepares to reveal her feelings once more, Asuna bursts into the shop. Lisbeth's heart sinks as she pieces together the puzzle. Kirito is the someone Asuna was referring to. She masks her emotions, offering Asuna a fragmentary but genuine endorsement of Kirito. Asuna leaves and Lisbeth retreats to a quiet corner of the town to gather her thoughts. Kirito finds her, offering her gratitude for changing his perspective on life and loneliness. Though Lisbeth's romantic aspirations are unfulfilled, she takes solace in the newfound friendship and the promise to one day escape the digital prison they're confined to. They part ways, each carrying a piece of the other's spirit as they prepare for the battles that lie ahead. Kirito, the brooding solo player, scores a rare drop, ragu rabbit's meat, after defeating a lizardman lord. This rare meat is an S-rank ingredient, but Kirito's mediocre cooking skills mean he can't prepare it himself. Therefore, he ventures to Agil's shop on the 50th floor to sell it. Agil, a friend and shopkeeper, questions why Kirito would sell such a valuable item when he's already financially stable. Just then, Asuna, the vice commander of the Knights of the Blood, walks in. After a bit of banter, she agrees to cook the meat if Kirito will share half with her. This agreement leads Kirito and Asuna to her house in the 61st floor's main city, Selmberg. Here, Asuna showcases her high-level cooking skills, lamenting that cooking in SAO is simplified and unchallenging. As they indulge in the delicious rabbit stew, they engage in a deep conversation about life in the game, the psychology of the trapped players, and their own battle styles. Asuna tries to convince Kirito to consider fighting in a party, something he has long avoided for fear of losing others. She threatens him playfully but persuasively with a butter knife, leading Kirito to reluctantly agree to consider her offer. However, their evening takes a dark turn when Kuradil, Asuna's overly protective bodyguard, objects to her spending time with Kirito. He shows overt hostility towards Kirito, but Asuna dismisses him from his duties, visibly disgusted by his behavior. The episode closes with a sense of foreboding as they discover the 74th floor boss, the Gleam Eyes, a demonic creature wielding a massive sword. Kirito and Asuna narrowly escape the clutches of the Gleam Eyes. Taking a breather in a safe zone, they discuss tactics for defeating the formidable boss. Asuna questions Kirito's battle choices, like his lack of a shield and the absence of the sword Lisbeth crafted for him. Their discussion is cut short when Klein and his guild, Furinkazan, stumble upon them. The moment turns tense as a military-like guild known as the Army arrives, demanding mapping data from Kirito, despite warnings about their unpreparedness to face the boss. Ignoring the warning, the army marches on, prompting Kirito, Asuna, and Klein to follow at a distance. Arriving just in time to witness the army's devastation at the hands of the Gleam Eyes, Kirito is forced to reveal his secret dual blade skill to save the day. The action-packed sequence unfolds as Kirito's quick thinking and powerful skills manage to defeat the boss, but not without cost, both physical and emotional. 3 players from the army are lost, reminding everyone of the game's deadly reality. Following this intense battle, Asuna reveals her decision to take a break from her guild, Knights of the Blood, citing her increasing fear for Kirito's life as a reason. This news leads Kirito into a challenging duel with Heathcliff, the leader of Knights of the Blood. The stakes are high. If Kirito wins, Asuna gains her freedom. If he loses, he must join the Knights of the Blood. Faced with this dilemma, Kirito steels himself for what may be his most crucial duel yet. In late events, we see pivotal moments in Kirito and Asuna's relationship, revealing their vulnerabilities, showcasing their strengths, and challenging their beliefs about lone wolf versus team-based strategies. We are also provided a nuanced view of player dynamics, guild politics, and the ongoing struggles to adapt to life within the game. In the 75th floor's main city, Kalinia, Kirito finds himself weighed down by the gravity of his upcoming duel with Heathcliff, the leader of the Knights of the Blood Guild. The stakes are daunting. If Kirito wins, Asuna, his closest ally and friend, can leave her demanding role in the Knights of the Blood. However, if he loses, he will have to join the guild himself. As the crowd roars in the Colosseum, Kirito and Heathcliff take their positions, both armed and dangerous. With adrenaline pumping through their veins, the duel commences. Kirito initiates an onslaught of attacks with his rare dual blades skill. Despite the intense bombardment, Heathcliff defends effortlessly, absorbing every blow with his towering shield. Kirito then unleashes Starburst Stream, knocking Heathcliff's shield aside and creating an opening. Just as he is about to strike the finishing blow, Heathcliff's shield moves with unnaturally fast speed to block Kirito's attack. Seizing this split-second opportunity, Heathcliff retaliates, causing Kirito's health bar to plummet to the yellow zone. Defeated, Kirito begrudgingly acknowledges Heathcliff's prowess and prepares to join the Knights of the Blood. Back at Agel's item shop, Kirito dons the Knights of the Blood Guild uniform with visible disdain. The uniform's colours clash with his personal aesthetic, adding to his sense of defeat. Asuna takes this moment to delve deeper into Kirito's long-standing reluctance to join guilds, prompting him to share the tragic tale of his time with the moonlit Black Cats Guild. The story leaves Asuna visibly shaken, but she reassures Kirito by vowing to protect him, easing some of his lingering guilt. At the guild headquarters, Kirito receives orders to participate in a mandatory training session on the 55th floor's labyrinth. Despite Asuna's protests, Kirito complies, joined by his new guildmate Kuradil. The tension between them is palpable, stemming from their earlier confrontation. To Kirito's surprise, Kuradil appears to let bygones be bygones and even apologizes. Once in the 55th floor field, Kirito and the group pause for a break. Godfrey, another guild member, distributes food. Although Kirito misses Asuna's homemade cooking, he is more concerned by Kuradil's odd behavior. His suspicions are confirmed when he and Godfrey suddenly become paralyzed. They've been poisoned. Kuradil sadistically murders Godfrey, revealing his alliance with the PK Guild, Laughing Coffin. Just when it seems Kirito is next, he thinks of Asuna and fights back. In a miraculous turn of events, Asuna arrives in the nick of time, healing Kirito with a crystal. When Kuradil tries to attack her, Kirito sacrifices his own hand to protect her and defeats Kuradil using his martial arts skill, Embracer. In his dying moments, Kuradil labels Kirito a murderer, adding more emotional baggage to his already heavy conscience. As they recover from the harrowing events, Asuna blames herself for the life-threatening situation they were in. Kirito counters this by passionately kissing her, declaring that his life belongs to her. The episode takes a lighter turn when a misunderstanding leads to an awkward but tender moment between the two. Kirito suggests they take a break from the front lines and retreat to a peaceful village on the 22nd floor. Realizing how deeply he wishes to protect and be with her, Kirito musters the courage to propose to Asuna. She accepts, symbolizing a momentary respite from their struggles, a hopeful glimpse into a future where they can live freely. In a game world defined by survival, combat, and constant peril, their love becomes a sanctuary, transcending the codes and pixels that make up their virtual reality. Kirito and Asuna meet Heathcliff to negotiate a leave of absence from their guild, setting up an atmosphere of dread and anticipation. There's a sense of unease underlying their exit, heightened by their recent life or death battles and the looming, undefined threat of the guild's future plans. Despite this tension, the couple soon find themselves in Coral Village on the 22nd floor, far away from the immediate dangers of the front lines. The peaceful backdrop of their new home, isolated from the battles and politics of the higher floors, serves as a sanctuary where they can explore their feelings for each other. Their conversation about the continuity of their relationship in the real world is pivotal as it affirms their commitment and love. Yui, a seemingly amnesic child who collapses in front of them. The lack of any cursor over her head adds to the enigma, as it contradicts the established logic and rules of the game. Unlike other players or NPCs, Yui presents an unprecedented paradox that Kirito and Asuna find themselves compelled to solve. Yui's emotional arc is both subtle and deeply affecting. Her inability to remember anything beyond her name makes her vulnerable, and this vulnerability endears her to Kirito and Asuna. As they spend time with her, Yui starts to address them as her papa and mama, organically evolving their relationship into a makeshift family. This dynamic allows the series to delve into the characters' hidden desires and unfulfilled dreams. For Kirito and Asuna, who have been denied a normal life outside the virtual world, the opportunity to play house is a bittersweet but also heartwarming experience. The decision to take Yui to the town of beginnings on the first floor adds another layer of nostalgia and reflects the characters' journey and growth since they were trapped in this world. The stark contrast between the bustling market they remember and the now almost deserted town represents the toll the game has taken on its inhabitants. This eerie silence is shattered by the screams that lead them to the scene where the army players are harassing children under the care of Sasha, another player. Asuna's intervention in this moment not only showcases her battle prowess, but also serves as a testament to her unwavering moral compass. The army represents the dark underbelly of the SAO world, where the lack of real-world consequences allows for corruption and abuse of power. Asuna's swift action against them emphasizes the responsibility that comes with power, a theme recurrent in the series. But it's the closing moments of the episode that offer the most unexpected twist, with Yui revealing that she is not who or what they think she is. Her emotional breakdown, accompanied by a massive glitch in the environment, is a reminder that the world they are in is far from natural. We get a sense of domestic bliss as Kirito, Asuna, and their newfound AI daughter Yui share a peaceful breakfast with Sasha and the other young players in the church. Their quietude is soon disrupted by Yulie, the vice commander of the player guild known as the Army. She arrives not to confront them, but to seek their assistance. Yulie reveals that the Army, initially formed to protect lower-level players, has become corrupt under the machinations of a cunning member named Kibao. Her partner, Thinker, the well-meaning leader of the guild, has been trapped in a perilous trap set by Kibao, and she needs Kirito and Asuna's help to rescue him. Moved by Yulie's plight, and especially touched by Yui's inexplicable emotional reaction to her story, Kirito and Asuna agree to help. They journey to the dungeon where Thinker is trapped, deep within the bowels of the first floor. Surrounded by malevolent mobs far stronger than what should be present on such a low-level floor, it's clear that this is a special kind of trap, one that may have administrative permission. As they battle through enemies to reach Thinker, Asuna shows increasing concern over Yui's emotional state. Yui seems oddly invested in the situation, displaying emotions far more complex than an ordinary AI should possess. When they finally reach Thinker, a monstrous boss appears, known as the Fatal Scythe. It's a creature far more potent than anything they expected to find in the dungeon. Just when the situation seems most dire, Yui intervenes. Her eyes glow, and she single-handedly defeats the boss with a sword materialized from thin air. It's a stunning moment that leaves both Kirito and Asuna speechless. Yui collapses afterward, revealing her true identity. She is a mental health counseling program that was designed to interact with players and manage their emotional states. However, since the game turned deadly, her functions were restricted, leaving her to silently watch as players suffered, a mute witness to countless emotional and physical tragedies. Distraught and no longer bound by her restrictions, Yui decides to delete herself, believing she has violated the laws governing her existence. As she begins to disintegrate into pixels, Kirito uses his high-level programming skills to salvage her core program and convert her into a game object, effectively a pendant, that they can carry with them. It's a bitter moment of triumph. They've saved Yui, but she can no longer interact with them in the way she once did. After saving Thinker and leaving the dungeon, Yulie and Thinker decide to dissolve the army, intending to regroup and form a guild that stays true to their original ideals. Kirito and a humble fisherman named Nishida have a peaceful encounter. This meeting serves as a poignant reminder of the pseudo-normalcy that some players have tried to carve out within the deadly game of SAO. Kirito and Asuna help Nishida catch a long-desired fish, with Kirito leveraging his strength and Nishida his fishing skill. This scene demonstrates the collaborative spirit and the diverse set of abilities that players bring to the SAO universe. However, the appearance of the King of Lakes, a gigantic fish-turned monster, disrupts the tranquility and sends the gathered crowd into a frenzy. Asuna steps in to save the day, revealing her high-level combat skills. This act wins her admiration, but also recalls her and Kirito back to the front lines at the request of Heathcliff, shattering the peaceful bubble they had momentarily enjoyed. As they prepare to leave, Nishida voices a dilemma that many SAO players grapple with. Is life in this virtual world, replete with new experiences and free of real-world problems, better than their previous existence? Asuna's response, inspired by Kirito, steers Nishida towards longing for the real world. It encapsulates the internal conflict they have been wrestling with, questioning the seductive idea of a simpler life in SAO against the moral imperative to end the game and free everyone trapped inside it. As they reach the front lines, Kirito admits his desire to flee from the battle to continue living in the game with Asuna. It's a shocking admission, one that reveals his deeply rooted fears of losing what they have built together. However, Asuna reminds him that living indefinitely in SAO isn't an option. This moment showcases the stakes involved. It's not just about surviving, but reclaiming their lives outside of the game. Joining them in this perilous mission are Klein and Agil, two long-standing comrades. Their presence adds emotional weight to the upcoming battle, reminding both the audience and the characters that the choices made on the front lines affect everyone in the game. Once the battle commences, the players find themselves up against an incredibly strong boss, capable of one-hit kills. The scene serves as a gruesome reminder of the stakes involved in this life-or-death struggle. Kirito, Asuna, and Heathcliff form the front line against the Skull Reaper, coordinating their attacks while urging the other players to contribute. Despite casualties, the team perseveres, with Kirito and Asuna acting as the linchpins in both strategy and morale. The first 13 episodes of Sword Art Online offer an exhilarating journey into a high-stakes virtual world. Kirito evolves into a leader and partner to Asuna, another formidable player. Together they navigate treacherous moral landscapes and heart-pounding battles. The series goes beyond just action sequences, diving deep into psychological and ethical issues, making you root for the characters while constantly questioning the blurry lines between virtuality and reality. If you want Part 2, which dives into a world even more complex, fraught with new challenges and unexpected twists, remember to like and subscribe.